Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. I officially launched Nesian News a couple days ago, and I'm super excited to talk about that and really the whole process behind it. So, here's a story. The issue that I saw in the world, not even in the world, but in my own life, was that most Islander success stories, they just go untold. Like, I meet a bunch of cool people. I meet a bunch of cool Polynesians and Pacific Islanders out there in the world. They're starting businesses and they're lawyers, investors. Really, they're just doing big things. The thing that I saw was that none of them know each other and no one knows about them. So the goal was to change that, basically, is to change how their stories go untold and no one knows about them. And that's what I want to do. The way I started off was this. I was making my LinkedIn. After I made it, I really just wanted to connect with people. I wanted to meet cool polys, meet cool Tongans. The way I did that was I literally went on LinkedIn and I just looked up like common Tongan last names. Like last names, my last name, my cousin's last name, any Tongan last name I could think of. What would happen is the top 3 to 5 people, the top 5 people, they would be polys out there doing big things. I saw those people, I connected with them. I was like, hey, can we hop on a call? I would love to learn more about you, learn more about your story. One of the first people I connected with was a dude, a Tongan guy who graduated from the business school. So I go to the undergrad school in Northwestern. The dude graduated from Kellogg, the business school. And I was like, okay, let me connect with this fool. So I connected with him, hopped on a call. I was like, oh yeah, intro, get to know each other a little bit. There's something about the Polynesian or Pacific Islander culture. There's something about it where as soon as we hop on a call, like I can immediately connect with them. They're so they're so open with helping each other and like, hey, if you need any advice, just let me know. If you need someplace to work or stuff like that, where they're so open to giving value and helping a young poly, a young islander out. And that's something that I've noticed and I really appreciate. So I wanted to do something and I kept doing this over and over again. The thing that they were saying was and it was like clockwork. Every single time I got it down to a science where I would cold connect. After the connect, I would be like, hey, do you want to hop on a call? After that, I would send them to a calendar page. They would schedule a time to meet with me. We'd hop on a call, and I would send them reminders to come to the call, and then also post messages like, hey, thank you for the call. I learned a lot, and those were all done automatically. I literally had a system for this. But then the most important part of the system that I added to it was connecting people to each other. I think they call this a super connector. It's something I heard from a podcast a while back. But basically, a super connector is like someone who connects people to each other. If you know a super connector, then you're just set. It's basically what it was. There's an issue that I found with it was that most polys, for example, I would meet someone and they would be starting a business. A lot of the times they would say, yeah, there's not many Polynesians I find in my space. There's not many Islanders I find in my space. I was like, well, there are actually. Let me connect you with some people I know. It's like, do you know this person? Do you know this person? Do you know him? He lives in the area. You should have lunch with this guy. Like, I would I would connect them with all these people, and then they would hop on meetings for like the next week after we finish our call. They would hop on meetings with all these other people that I connected them with, and I was like, man, there absolutely has to be a better way to do this. Has to be. And I've always had this idea because I have this podcast where I'm recording my journey, I'm recording my lessons along the way. But I've always had an idea to create another podcast where I interview some of the most, not most successful, but some of the polys out there, some of the islanders who are doing big things. That was really the whole goal. The mission of it is to, number one, unite our community. Number 2 is connect them. Or it'll be like unite them through making connections within each other, but also inspire some of our younger generation. Like, if I was a high schooler, if I was a middle schooler and I was looking up, I never knew any of these names. I never knew people were out there being investors, people were out there starting businesses. I never knew about that type of path or those polys out there who were doing these things. So the first part of the mission is to unite, is to connect. And the other part is to inspire. That's what I really want to do with the Nesian News. So that's the big announcement. That's the big thing that I'm starting up now is something called Nesian News. The way I'm gonna achieve that mission is by sharing Islander success stories with everyone. That's not only is that Islanders, young, old, whoever, but that's also with the whole world. Like there are people out there who don't know Polynesians. The only Polynesian they know is Chick-fil-A. There are some people when I introduce myself and I say I'm I'm Tongan, they have no idea. When I'm Polynesian, they have no idea. I'm Pacific Islander, they still have no idea. It's crazy because there's so many cool people doing big things. I just wanna share those stories. So that's the big mission. The the story behind where I got the name from, Nesian News, is really just the fact that Nesian comes from a Greek word like nesoi or some type of word that means island. If you think about it, that's where all the Nesian names come from, like Polynesian, many islands, Micronesian, Indonesian, Melanesian. All those names are Nesians, and those are it basically just means islanders. Nesian news is islander news. It's the people it's the new things going on in our community. That's what I really want to bring together. That's the vision that I have for it. Like down the road, definitely gonna expand to other types of media, but I think for now, and I really just had this epiphany earlier this morning going on a walk. I was like, instead of starting off where I interview people, because eventually it'll get there, but I could really just not only build an audience using other people's media, but it would also be a lot easier, especially in the startup phase, where I just use other people's interviews and then write up like a summary about them and then send it out to the email list and then grow that way. But I'm really just focusing right now on LinkedIn, and eventually I'll expand to Facebook. Then Facebook will probably be the main way to grow. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Really, the nail in the coffin, so to say, the thing that really solidified my decision to do it, to just send it, was when I was reading this book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. Basically, he's a super successful investor guy, and he's also like a philosopher, so he shares a lot of his thoughts on philosophy. But one of the biggest ideas in his book is, or he didn't write it, but it was written about him. One of the biggest ideas from him, though, is this idea of leverage. I've heard this idea of leverage a lot. Alex Ramosi hits on it so much, but the way he puts it is there's four types of leverage. The first two are the oldest two. You kind of want to avoid these because they require someone else's permission. The first two are capital, labor, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I am pretty sure. I'm about to do a deep dive into his book sooner or later, but I'm pretty sure that's two forms of capital. But basically, you need to ask someone, "Hey, can I borrow your money to go and use for this thing?" Or, "Hey, come and work for me so we can go and build this thing." And those are two types of leverage. And the new two, the one that we really should be focusing on, that don't require anyone's permission to start doing, is media and code. And once you do those two things, you'll have little robots on the internet who are working for you 24/7 while you sleep. That's the big idea, is that it doesn't require any more input of my time, energy, or effort after I make the first thing. So it doesn't matter if I make a 47-minute podcast or like a 3-page blog article. It doesn't matter that I put 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours worth of effort into that. Those 2 hours of input come out to max output. It doesn't matter if one person listens to it or if no one listens to it or if a million people listen to the thing or watch it, because it doesn't require any extra amount of effort on my part. That's where this idea of leverage, I think, is really interesting. That's where I'm probably going to be focusing most of my time on, is trying to build leverage, especially being super young, not too rich, is that I got to look for leverage outside of capital or outside of labor. So the plan is from now on is basically every so often watch a podcast, watch an interview on a Polynesian or a Nesian out there doing big things, write up a blog post. Well, one of the other goals I have on this is to practice the skill of writing, because I think writing is it's just a really good skill to have, specifically copywriting, building an email list, because with the email list, that's when I could start building an audience. One of the other big ideas in the book is talking about compound interest. We've heard that a lot, but there's also compound interest in something like an audience, which is super powerful. Because once you have one person and that one person tells two people, like a pyramid scheme, it just keeps growing and growing after that. So yeah, that's that's the big news, so to say. In terms of the life update, that was really the life update. With personal things, I think his book really hits on this idea of desire and how desire is the enemy of happiness. For the longest time, I've always thought of success as being the end goal. Like success is what I want. That's it. But now I've come at it from, I think happiness is probably more important. And because when we think of success, it's people use it in a whole bunch of different ways. So I think instead of using the word success, probably using the word happiness is a much better way to express my ideas, express what I'm trying to go after. Instead of going after success, it's happiness. One of the first things about happiness is limiting desire, is trying not to have desire. And I think realizing that, the fact that happiness is a skill that I have to work on, I can develop and get better. I think those are big epiphanies I had what reading the book. And I remember I was just back home, driving home after working for a couple hours, working all day on projects that I'm super passionate about, on things that I really want to be working on. And I was like, man, I haven't been this happy in forever. And that was a pretty big insight, because just realizing, stepping back from everything that's going on and realizing that was super, super big for me. Coming out here to Cali, spending my summer out here, it was really just a time for me to, I could probably say that this was the most transformative couple months in my life, for sure, because it helped me really focus on myself, discover what makes me happy, and then just work on myself. And I think that's like invaluable. There's no amount of money that's better than, because you can make, there are billionaires out there who just aren't happy. That's the sad part. I remember hopping on a call with this guy. He owned a turf business, but it really wasn't him owning the company or owning a business. He was really just he was really just self-employed. Like he works for himself. But the way he was talking and how passionate he was about his work, how much he loved it, how much he loves helping his people, his employees, and hanging out with them and giving them value. Like that guy was happy. And that's something that, man, I want that in my life. I want to be happy. And being out here, I'm just happy. Like I haven't been this happy in a long time. So that's the life update. Yeah. Catch you in the next pod. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok see you.